Despite the solid actors embodying them, the two leads feel like tropes more than living, breathing characters. Don't worry, no spoilers here. I won't tell you who the killer is because I physically don't know. It's all such a blur. What's the opposite of a show that's ahead of its time? Being behind the times? Is that a thing? Well, that's what Gaanth is. The 8-episode series on JioCinema feels like it belongs to like 2021, where maybe this hot mess of a crime thriller would have felt novel. In 2024, however, it's a different story. Gaanth, created by Soham Bhattacharya, is inspired by the infamous 2018 Burari Deaths case, which shook the nation's capital, in which all 11 members of a middle-class Delhi family were found hanging in their homes. Gaanth is the third streaming series to be made about this horrific case in 3 years. There was Leena Yadav's chilling Netflix docuseries House of Secrets. There was Disney Plus Hotstar's forgettable Aakhri Sach, starring Tamanna Bhatia last year. And now this. Why we need 3 different shows about this terrifying case, I don't know. A moody, dreary, derivative, delirious crime drama, Gaanth isn't entirely devoid of merits. It's surprisingly well crafted. For one, it's a very good-looking show. DOP Pratik Tiora crafts a dense, impressively creepy atmosphere that gives the series a great deal of its credibility, as does director Kanishk Verma's staging and the bloody solid casting from Romal Modi and Tejas Thakkar. But all of this is weighed down by the overexcited writing from Anag Mukherjee, Soham Bhattacharya and Fahim Irshad, which starts off as watchable and sincere and quickly snowballs into an orgy of incoherence in the second half of the season. You know how an investigation thriller involves a sad, tired cop trying to make sense of a messy, complicated, unclear set of events to figure out what actually happened and how the crime was committed and who the killer is? Well, I needed one of those mastermind cops to sit and watch this show with me so they can help me figure out what the hell was going on after a point. Gaanth has a severe Sudeep Sharma hangover. The narrative is desperate to be Pata Lok or Kaura, but it doesn't have the same thoughtful writing, attention to character, or just plain effective storytelling. Sad cop Gadar Singh, played by the always impressive Manav Vij, is an alcoholic, grief-stricken officer with anger management issues, tasked with heading the investigation of what happened and how such an awful, peculiar crime was committed. But he's not our only protagonist. There's also Sakshi Murmu, played by Monica Pawar, who continues to prove she's one of the most promising young actors around. Sakshi is a doctor who suffers from savant syndrome, which allows her to see patterns and notice details that no one else can. The good doctor finds herself intertwined with the case and at the forefront of the investigation alongside Gadar Singh. Despite the solid actors embodying them, the two leads feel like tropes more than living, breathing characters. To tell us that Sakshi has a maze brain, the show even does that silly hangover gif thing of having floating words and numbers and algebra in the air. Seriously? Not to mention that an offbeat persona with a specifically heightened intellect assisting a police officer on murder cases is an idea ripped straight out of any American cop series from the last 2 decades. Gaanth spends much of the 8-episode runtime it definitely doesn't earn on the personalized backstories and workplace dynamics of these characters who we struggle to care about, rather than focus on the only thing that really works here, the plot and the main investigation into this inexplicable case. But even there, with its sleepy pacing, the narrative drags its feet. Above all, Gaanth is a frustratingly scattered, painfully unfocused and intensely overwritten show. There are inept officers, workplace discrimination, crooked journalists, cover-ups, botched investigations, and more subplots than you can count, and I'm so tired. Also, I should say, this show isn't faithful to the actual Burari Deaths case. It actually takes every specific unnerving detail of the horrid real-life mass suicide case and uses it to spin its own masala-filled fictional tale where it wasn't in fact suicide but in the show, murder. Am I the only one who finds that immensely disrespectful to the actual lives lost? Don't worry, no spoilers here. I won't tell you who the killer is because I physically don't know. It's all such a blur. If anything, I promise to give $1 bajillion, gajillion, fulfillion dollars to anyone who can explain what happens in the last episode and why, because I couldn't follow or understand any of it. Want me to nitpick further? Okay, sure, I got nothing but time. The show's also very oddly stitched together. Scenes don't flow into each other as much as they jump one to the other and then just crash into each other, with characters instantly jumping locations. There's a somewhat promising show in here somewhere, but the makers seem to refuse to even want to find it. There's a moment early on where Dr. Sakshi's insensitive boss is tired of her standing her ground and says, "This is all starting to get a little irritating." I feel you, bro. You can watch Gaanth on JioCinema.